right, welcome back again. I'm going across Noah's out. Don't really know what he's doing, but I know he's moving. But I need to knock these out here. So we are going across the entire NFL, previewing all 32 teams, going over the 2024 season, going over the 2025 offseason, and then giving the prediction for the 2025 upcoming season. And this one is now we're getting to some of the worst teams in the NFL, and we are with the Cleveland Browns today. Last year they went 3-14, last in the AFC North. Obviously, Deshaun Watson with the Achilles tear and injuries kind of all over the board. Really rough season all around for the Cleveland Browns. But you still have Kevin Stefanski as your head coach. New OC is Tommy Rees. He got promoted, and you still have Jim Schwartz as your defensive coordinator, which is interesting because it feels like we have a very stable coaching staff with an incompetent front office ownership group potentially. Really the worst move that they made in this era so far has been getting rid of Baker Mayfield after he took them to the playoffs and bringing in Deshaun Watson, and the Deshaun Watson um situation has been nothing short of a nightmare. So now we're obviously going into this year, and he re-ruptures Achilles and all the stuff that's gone on in the offseason. But let's get into some 2024 stats from some DVOA numbers from 2024. They finished 32nd in overall team DVOA, 32nd in offense, and 25th in defense. Some storylines I kind of already got into it a little bit here, but the coaching firing of Dorsey and Dickinson, and then Tommy Rees promoted from within, and Stefanski going ahead and being the guy who calls plays again, which I probably think is the best move at this point. He's proven that he could do it. I like Stefanski. I just don't know if he's in the best situation to show how great he could potentially be, but I guess we'll see. And then obviously, thank God for, as a fan, you have somebody like Myles Garrett who consistently puts on shows. I believe he had 14 sacks last year. Let me check here real quick before I move on. He had 14 sacks last season. In a season where, I mean, year from hell for the Browns fans, because 2 years ago, being in a position where you looked a lot better, you won 11 games, and things started to kind of look up from where they were, to be back in the dirt now has to hurt. When we get in this 2025 offseason, some of the additions that they made, they got Joe Tyron Chernoka. I don't know how to say his name. Tevin Jenkins, Jerome Baker, Devin Bush, Malik Collins, Cornelius Lucas, Tony Brown. Let me just pull up their depth chart here real quick too, in case if I'm missing anything. I don't think I'm missing anything. Obviously, Nick Chubb's out the door. That's a big one. I think that's probably it. They obviously traded for Kenny Pickett this offseason from the Eagles. And then we get to this NFL draft where they're sitting at a pick, and everybody mocked them to take Travis Hunter. It was like Cleveland Browns, Travis Hunter, like that's the marriage. That's what's next. What I love that they did, and I will have to give them credit for that, is they go and they get a haul for that pick from a team who is probably not going to be great. They could be. I mean, I think at best they're a wild card team, but I don't look at how this current iteration of the Jacksonville Jaguars are built and think that they could be better than that. So to get a team with some upside of having some top 10 picks potentially with those extra picks that you got, I love the flexibility that they gave themselves in the future, which I feel like they needed to do. Then they take, at the 5th overall pick, they take Mason Graham, who a lot of people loved him from like on the top of the board. I mean, obviously he's the fifth overall pick for a reason. And it's dumb for me to sit here and be like, yeah, I think he's going to be a good player, like blah, blah, blah. I guess the question is like, could he be, I think he could potentially be like a blue chip type talent, and to put him in this defense with Myles Garrett and Jim Schwartz, I think that that is like the best case scenario for his development as a player, and I think that they will get the most out of him in Cleveland. I feel like that was like a match made in heaven, so I love that pick. Then you go Zion Brown, wide receiver out of Purdue. Then you go Dylan Gabriel in the third, Elijah Jones from Boston College in the fourth, and then of course the illustrious pick of Shador Sanders in the fifth round, which I get it. Listen, I had a tweet. Somebody said after they traded away Kenny Pickett to I forget which team he went to, but they traded him away and it said they were like the Browns officially have 10 picks in this upcoming draft. And I said they should take 10 quarterbacks straight. Like, let's take 10 quarterbacks straight and get this position right. A position where it seems for the last 20 years there's been zero stability and there hasn't been the ability to figure out a long-term solution. I feel like giving yourself the most shots, most bites at the apple, most shots at the dartboard is the best thing to do for your franchise. So, yes, they took Dylan Gabriel, but they go and they take Shador in the back half where people liked Shador. I mean, there were people that had that guy mocked in the first round, had him being a top 5 pick. And at a point where the value on getting Shador in your team is just like, okay, he's a 5th round pick. Like he's going to keep falling. Let's just take this guy. They took the shot on Shador. And if it works out, it works out. If it doesn't, it doesn't. It doesn't matter. It's like, who cares if they need to take more shots at the dartboard at the quarterback position because they haven't been able to figure it out. So why not continue to try to set yourself up for success in that manner? That's my take on it. I didn't really freak out the way everybody else did about it. Like, it's just like Dylan Gabriel's never going to be a starter in the NFL. Let's just call a spade a spade. Shador probably will never be a starter in the NFL. So what's the difference of bringing both of those guys in, giving them a full camp, having them in your system and seeing if one can develop or not? You look at like the same situations that happen with like a Kirk Cousins and an RG3 where they have guys in the building and one of their lower picks stepped up and looks really good. Brock Purdy is a good recent example of that as well, where he's the last pick in the draft and then he goes and is a top 15 quarterback in the NFL and is going to be in San Francisco probably for a really long time. So yeah, I like that move. I don't really have anything else on that. And then they got Dylan Sampson late, which it looks like he's going to be splitting some time with Jerome Ford. They got, at the top of the second round, excuse me, they did not take Zion Brown. I don't know why I said that. They took Quinshon Judkins. Quinshon Judkins then had some off the field issues, which I think they're getting resolved. I can't speak on that fully, but obviously a lot of us play fantasy. I'm sure if you're watching this video, you probably play fantasy football. He's a free agent and the tab says like he is not able to sign his contract until the NFL conducts a full investigation. And it's like, what? Like, so I'm confused on what that situation is. I think it's shitty, obviously. I know that the Cleveland Browns take risks on some guys that have character issues. They went and they signed like an Isaiah Bond after he kind of got found not guilty of some of the stuff that he had alleged against him. And really it's high risk, high reward. You look at a talent of somebody like Isaiah Bond and you got to be like thrilled about it. But also on the other side of the fence, it's like, how many times are the Cleveland Browns going to take shots on guys with like low character or character concerns? And then when they don't pan out in the NFL, everyone's shocked. They did it with Deshaun Watson during his whole that I don't even know what to call it. Maybe one of the weirdest allegation strings in the history of sports. I mean, it's just he's a wreck, it sounds like. And then to continue to bring in guys with questionable pasts to an organization where it feels like you can't handle it. And if they were able to keep a rein on things and figure it out, and they were successful in spite of that, but they are unsuccessful in spite of that. So I that's my take on it. I think if Isaiah Bond didn't get in trouble, he would have been a high draft pick. I think he's probably a good player, but again, just throwing him in here with the Cleveland Browns, it makes me pause for a second and to be like, damn, like I don't know, maybe he's not the guy. But overall, this offseason, I feel like you have to feel in the building that could potentially you got some quarterbacks in the building that could potentially be backups for you or a potential starter down the road. You never know. And like I said, you stacked up a bunch of those draft picks that gives you flexibility for the future to trade up, trade back, whatever you might do. Maybe be able to get two top guys in next year's draft. So yeah, I really like what they did this offseason. I feel like they took a step back to assess the future and being able to take a step forward during the 2026 offseason. So yeah, I love it. As for some win total stuff, their win total right now is sitting at 4.5. I think that's probably fair. This isn't a team that I'm probably going to be betting on any futures. I don't think they have anybody that can win MVP, Offensive Player of the Year. Myles Garrett could be a Defensive Player of the Year candidate if they were a team that could potentially win enough games to be in the playoffs. But unfortunately, I feel like it's going to be kind of a good stats on a bad team guy, and I don't think that that's going to set him over the top. So that's really all there is to it. With that, to win the AFC North, they're sitting at some of the worst odds across the league. Um, yeah, it hurts a little bit. And just to like look at their schedule, I actually was just texting somebody earlier. They play Cincinnati on Sunday at 1 o'clock at home. The line sent at 5.5. That is a game where I just love it to be mucked up and close and figure out a way. I don't think they win, but I think they figure out a way to keep it close. So I like that move. The one thing that you can really lean your hat on and be happy about with this team, like moving forward, at least, is like offensive line's still decent. You still have some names on there, and they're going to be good. Um, then on the defensive side of the football, you still have Myles Garrett. You got Mason Graham, a guy who could be a blue chip talent. Carson Schweringer, I think he could probably be a pretty good linebacker for you. He's not a bad player. Denzel Ward's good as long as he doesn't get another concussion. Obviously, he needs to stay healthy, but that's indicative of everybody across the NFL. And then Greg Newsome, I think, is still a really good corner as well. Obviously, Martin Emerson went to the IR. That stings a little bit. But you have some guys who, let's just say Martin Emerson misses this season, which it sounds like he's going to. Jeremiah Owusu-Karamoah is going to miss this season. Hopefully he can get his neck back to be fully healthy and play football again, because that would suck. He's a really good young player. If you are looking at this team, and this is a conversation about the future, not right now, this is 2026, is like, let's get some of these guys healthy. Let's get some of these guys developed. Let's take some of the next step potentially with some of these younger skill players who we took shots on. Can they be somebody? Let's get some guys who are difference makers on the defensive side of the football fully healthy, like a Owusu Karamoah. And then let's go into this 2026 offseason and build up, whether that be in free agency or within the draft, and try to figure something out at this quarterback position. Because if you drop a quarterback into this situation and he can play above expectation, I'm thinking like of a CJ Stroud, Jaden Daniels type player. Like, this is a team that could easily win the division because of they have a really strong coaching staff, really good OC, and a really good defensive coordinator. So can they figure something out? That is the $1 million question. I don't think they can, unfortunately, because it feels like they are in hell. I don't know why. I don't know what they did to the football gods, but they need to figure that out. But my 2025 season prediction for this team is just for them. I think that they win 3 football games. I think that's being generous a little bit, just looking at their schedule, the division that they play in. Yeah, I don't know. It'll be a rough year. It feels like for the Cleveland Browns. And honestly, at this point, Joe Flacco is Joe Flacco. At this point, it doesn't kill you to throw out Dylan Gabriel at some point this season. Doesn't kill you to throw Shador Sanders out at some point this season. I think not. Having Joe Flacco start all 17 games for you feels like why. Like, let's just take a shot. Let's see if any of these guys have some juice. Let's see if any of these guys can make something happen. And if they can, then let's see if we can build on it. But if they just continue to play Joe Flacco for all 17 games, I feel like that's a little bit of a letdown for that organization. So that's my prediction. That's what's going on with the Cleveland Browns. Thank you again for watching. Remember, like, comment, subscribe. We are very close to the end of this. Hopefully Noah can do the last few. I'm knocking a few of these out, and that is the Cleveland Browns.
I just spit it. Good girl, we're getting paper as a passion. Collect the stacks and bring it back, man, and take vision.